Blizzard have a PVE surprise in store. It seems like Bellular has found out something that's coming into the game. Now, a lot of people who got Plunderstorm in 10.2.6 who are PVE players, for the most part, were disappointed with Plunderstorm. I only PVE personally, but I actually enjoy Plunderstorm. I think it's a fun event. But a lot of PVE players feel like they were left out in the dark. Hey, maybe Blizzard's about to show you some love. Let's see what Bellular has found out.
Welcome back to the news. Plunderstorm and 10.2.6 are settling in, and that means we can look to the future. And with discourse being dominated by Plunderstorm, it turns out a lot has slipped under our noses. We've got major news for those who thought it was perhaps neat to see Blizzard experiment, but don't want a PvPvE hybrid battle royale. Then our not yet patented Newsnet is here to catch other things, like the 10.2.7 stuff on Blizzard servers. Season 4 actually looking better than we expected. Some immediate nice 10.2.6 additions.
The War Within Alpha is coming, man. I think people are forgetting that. I was mentioning it earlier this morning. Look at that. The War Within Alpha is supposed to hit like halfway between Plunderstorm and Season 4, and now Season 4 is hitting PTR. We got that announcement today. So, yeah, the War Within Alpha, I'm expecting like week of April 19th could be coming.
And pretty big revamp potential for literally all of the old armor and weapons and gear in the game. Just kind of crazy. Let's get into it. Usually we get 2 minor patches for every major patch. We've had 10.2.5, 10.2.6, and now 10.2.7. 10.2.7 Darkheart exists, and we're probably only a few weeks away from finding out what it'll be. Algalon, which is a Twitter bot that reports when it finds new builds on the Battle.net servers, posted that it found a 10.2.7 build last week. It was on the vendor called WoW-v2, and as for what that means, well, basically, we're aware that Blizzard usually host test builds over the holidays to get internal feedback for things, and WoW-v2 is actually used for things like, say, hosting the War Within from just before Christmas until last week, presumably for staff to play. So right now we believe that Blizzard is doing internal tests of patch 10.2.7 before it comes to PTR. That will actually be more interesting than you may think. And of course, 10.2.7 PTR will be happening shortly after Season 4 goes live, and Season 4 is due to be on the PTR anytime now. And 10.2.7, I believe, is actually going to be quite a bit more than we thought. Initially, we thought, because of course it was called time-running pandemonium, panda, as in the creature, so we all thought...
That's the main mystery, is what the hell is the time-running pandemonium event? There was also data mining showing that there were updates to the outdoor world in Pandaria, and nobody understood why the hell Blizzard was doing that, but it's likely attached to this event.
Was some sort of augmented time walking. Thing is, though, do you remember that Vampire Survivors mode string we found in December? Remember some of that suspicious data mined gear? Well, Holly Longdale probably knows we saw those things. Recently, she said, "Fun to see players sharing Plunderstorm stories and the feedback as the event evolves. We have Season 4 coming up and news soon. TM, for all of you PvEers, curious what we have in store for you. We are experimenting leading up to the War Within, still more on tap." Oh boy.
Damn.
So,
that's
Plunderstorm
exciting.
Was an experiment, and seemingly there's another one to come. And again, I think...
Say what you want about Plunderstorm. Some people hate it, some people love it. I'm a PvEer, and I think it's a great thing, whether it's because I actually enjoy playing it or because I like just seeing things added to the game that are fun and exciting and seeing Blizzard take a chance. That's the best thing about it. And look, some other things can come out soon. Same thing. Blizzard could take chances. This pandemonium, I think could be cooler than people are already thinking it could be.
Vampire Survivors mode that was data mined, and certainly if you think about the idea of PvE, you know, farming creeps,
nice fucking panda
mobs,
emo,
and you mix that in with some of the things that they've tried with, of course, the Plunderstorm, I don't know, man, it actually could be quite interesting. And then, Associate Game Director Jeremy Fiesel said, "Plunderstorm is here and Pandemonium is coming. Probably the wildest pre-expansion period in WoW history. If you enjoy Dragonflight's patches, please let us know what you'd like to see in the War Within." So, look how he said that.
They're
so
putting
whatever
them
this
together.
Pandemonium is, it does seem to be some sort of pre-expansion, experimental event thing.
They keep mentioning them together, yeah, so I'm wondering what the hell. I hope it's some outdoor world content. I love outdoor world content. That's why I thought the Hearthstone event was kind of fun. Well, you know, there was some bugs and stuff like that, but I just love that it brought servers together, made the game feel alive. I hope it's Outdoor World content.
Got to wonder, with Pandemonium and with Plunderstorm, is this Blizzard actually doing tests for proper feature development in the future? If so, to be honest, I am super damn excited, including for having my battle tag just being, you know, there on Plunderstorm, which of course means people see, look, it's a dickhead from YouTube, let's kill him. And that can happen IRL. Unless you use today's sponsor, which is working for me right now in the background. So,
what a great
spam
transition.
mails, calls, they're a real annoyance, and it's all because of data brokers who basically trade in harvesting and selling our data. Now, you do have the legal right to get that kind of
it was a
thing
great
taken
segue.
down, but the downside is that can take hours, and that's where today's sponsor, incogni.com/bellular warcraft, comes in. They basically automate those takedowns for you, and code Bellular Warcraft gets you 60% off their annual plan. Now, when I signed up about 3 months ago, they immediately found me on 48 data brokers. They immediately sent 42 takedown requests, and 6 were completed. And it was kind of hilarious because just that day, I had got a random message from a recruiter on my a personal text message. I had no idea how that happened, but when I was going through the Incogni dashboard, I actually saw that my details were on a data broker that's for recruiters. It's kind of weird.
Nice.
And I sure as hell didn't put it there. But point is, now that I've got Incogni working in the background, doing all of those takedowns, I just rest a bit easier knowing that my info isn't being plastered.
Right now in America, I just keep getting election fucking texts. I don't even know how they get my number.
This is not your fault. It's other partners
annoying
that
as
have
hell.
data leaks. I mean, you hear it all the time in the news, right? Millions of accounts being breached in very, very large hacks. Well, that information ends up being hoovered up by the data brokers, and then they trade in it, and then you just get a bunch of spam. Also, for just the sake of privacy, there are websites like Being Verified that are creepy as hell, where you can just look for people. So getting that info taken down, I think, is really good. The thing is, though, if you take it down, it can just pop up again, and that's why Incogni takes that data down, but then it keeps it down by rescanning brokers over time, all automatically. So you can give them a shot today at incogni.com/Bellular
Actually, probably a useful tool.
60% discount. Let's get into Season 4. We have our name. It is called Awakened. And we've got a stack of wins and maybe 1 or 2 controversies. First, and probably the bad news for some, legendaries will be relevant in Season 4. There are 2 legendary items in the data. Both are called Scale of Awakening, and they're used to upgrade Najuro and Firalath to eye level 502 and enable higher upgrades. We've got no clue how to get them, but I would certainly hope the Blizzard...
I kind of got to get the legendary first. I'm at 33 bad luck protection. Blizzard, please, can we make it happen so I can actually frickin' play the game?
Have learned
Jesus
lessons
Christ, the
from
season's
seasons
almost
2 and
over.
3, and maybe there's less RNG. Maybe there's less of a massive gold buy-in, and this can kind of just be a fun thing for people to play with, because it does seem there's a lot of negative player feedback and that kind of stuff. Next then, let's just talk about the wins. Number 1, a splash screen for Season 4 has been data mined, and, the text has no hint of a raid rotation, and that is fairly interesting. That's got people speculating that all 3 raids will be available, which is not like how it was done with the Fated season in the Shadowlands. Of course,
if you remember, Fated and Shadowlands was 1 raid per week, and they rotated through that twice before they opened up all the weeks. So essentially, that was 7 weeks of content, right? 3 weeks, then 3 weeks again, one raid per week, and then the final week was all the raids open at once. I mean, that prolonged the content. I'd be surprised if they just dropped it all at once.
No confirmation on this. It's just what people are thinking based on that data mining, but it certainly would combat
I would feel
feedback
like
that having
Blizzard
to
would want to kind of,
3 raids at once as the weeks were going by was a less than pleasant experience last time around. Who knows, maybe just giving players a bunch of freedom to go and work on their objectives is the way to go. We will have to see. What is next, though, is dinars. That is the news. I have nothing more to say about it because they're data mined, but we don't really know anything else. So it's a dinar, just like Ian said, there would be something like that. So yeah, hopefully with this you'll be able to, pick some items.
Yeah, I'm over
after you've
50%.
done
I
some
just
raids
don't have
and just
it.
Get them.
It sucks.
Again, we don't really know how they're actually going to implement this, but whatever they do, I think will be telling us to the future. Next, dungeons. So originally, I think a lot of people thought it was bad news that we were getting the 8 original Dragonflight dungeons, but remember, well, the Thundering seasonal affix in Season 1 kind of blew, and they're not doing seasonal affixes anymore. Also, affixes have generally been thoroughly defanged all expansion, and
as they should
remember the
be.
whole revamp of how dungeon
affixes.
difficulty and rewards work? That's starting in Season 4, not the War Within. So, of course, the way they have it between normal and heroic and mythic, and then you have 10 levels of mythic as it pertains to gearing. The TLDR is...
I think in terms of affixes, Blizzard should look at how they do faded raiding. You know why people don't hate faded raids? Because people would hate faded raids if all they did was attach a dumb affix to the raid and made the raid harder for no reason. That would suck. But the reason why faded raiding is kind of fun is because they go with the kiss curse method, right? Where, like, if you do the mechanic, you get a big buff, and it creates these really cool moments in fights where, like, you could delete bosses and you time things right, and the raid does everything right. You can create, like, these big burst moments, and that's a lot of fun. Affixes in Mythic Plus are not like that. They're just annoying extra tactical things that you have to get done, and if somebody doesn't do it, it kills the group, and it's annoying as shit. They're not fun. Or it slows you down because you got to pull slower because you're getting a dot ticking on you. There's no added benefit to doing it other than you're just not dying. That's the benefit. I prefer the kiss curse method of faded raiding, and I wish they would implement stuff like that in Mythic Plus rather than affixes.
I think it's a way more healthy system. And
Sam hates challenges. Yeah, exactly.
Overview of that we posted last week. If you'd like just a little bit more detail on that, I'd recommend checking it out. I think it'll be very healthy.
You just
for the
described
game,
how raids.
I'm actually kind of excited to see.
I'm okay with mechanics, but I don't think adding mechanics on top of mechanics makes the content more fun. That's what I'm saying. The plus of Mythic Plus or the faded of faded raiding. Well, it's not called faded. It's called awakened raids now. My bad. I just like, if you're going to add an extra mechanic, also add an extra buff if you do that mechanic. That's all I'm saying. Make it fun. It's the end of the expansion. Who cares?
Feels like in this season. Now, alongside the dungeon changes, we are likely getting some reworked trinkets. And these are really neat. These are 6 dungeon trinkets that have just straight up been reworked.
MDI would be nutty.
Some of them are getting a really cool glow up. Others, like the tome, have been reworked to not be a horrible nightmare to use. And I do love seeing design changes like this because it shows how far we've came in just a year or two, design-wise. Tank trinkets were RNG, which was a pain. The newer revamps are more reliable. Some DPS trinkets required standing in a thing like Rune of Power or tracking a debuff to use optimally, so they've been changed to deal damage passively. It does seem like they're actually trying to apply lessons they've learned, which is something I always love.
Yeah.
But, of course, there's a problem. Season 4 is a few weeks away, and we all live in the here and now. So what about patch 10.2.6? Turns out, if you're an achievement fanatic, you could be eating pretty damn good. I think I'll be doing some of these in my
There's a lot of achievements coming in.
Maybe not the biggest one, though, because if you want to ride Tyvan, the nice dog from the Unaran Plains, there's a new meta achievement for the whole expansion, and its rewards have been revealed. You have to do all 3 raids, complete every dungeon on Mythic, do Pathfinder, do every quest, max out all the reps and renowns. You've got to do all the races in the Isles, including the advanced ones and the reverse ones.
There's a shit ton of things
and
to
the
do.
gargantuan, base, Dragonflight, Forbidden Reach, Zaralek Caverns.
Look at this list. He's not re-scrolling. He is just scrolling through the list of fucking achievements. It's insane, but it's good. It's content. Like, if you're an achievement chaser, this will give you a lot to do while you wait for the next season or the next expansion even.
Emerald Dream meta achievements. So good luck, you're going to need it, but I suppose if you want a structured way to do literally all of the things and get a mount you might actually have an emotional connection with, that's how to do it. But what if you're yearning for the good old days? What if you want to go back to the Shadowlands?
Oh, yeah.
And you want to get Zoval's pet dog? Because, yes, we're back. Here's what's going on.
Right.
They've added a new mount, right? To
the expansion that almost single-handedly killed WoW. Yeah, if you remember, we looked at the numbers the other day. Post-Shadowlands was absolutely horrible. It was so bad. During Shadowlands, it was actually good, but I credited that to COVID because people were just doing nothing. It was lockdown. You're like, I'm a degenerate sitting here at home. Why don't I just resub? So that was why I feel like the numbers were good. It peaked very high pretty much during Shadowlands. But man, the fall off after, holy shit. It went deep.
Achievement, it's called Zoval's Soul Eater. Basically, it is the Gladiator
mount. But this mount is
recolored,
cool.
Now available to PVE-only players, which is really nice. But, of course, you do have to get the entire Shadowlands meta achievement.
Basically the Gladiator mount.
Shadowlands.
It's a recolor.
Sticking with the Shadowlands, though, for those of you who prefer the older Covenant style to your recently updated Covenant abilities, things like, say, Jadefire Stomp and Convoke the Spirits, those can be reverted now to their older appearance via glyphs. and the glyphs will come from the Shadowlands zone that the ability came from, but the character will need to be honored with that zone's reputation to use it. Thankfully, of course, honored really does not take that long whatsoever. Next then, for all you gamers still Mythic Plussing, Incorporeal and Afflicted were buffed. And then they were nerfed harder than they were buffed.
Good.
Because it turns out the buffs were actually an accident, albeit one that made people, feel a little bit worried for a bit. The Afflicted Ghost now takes an extra 2 seconds to cast its debuff. That's up to 12
I
from
want
10.
them to
The Incorporeal
just nerf them into the
now
ground.
spawn closer to the group on average, which is really helpful for visibility and, of course, shorter range CC being able to actually deal with them. And basically,
Make it cast time increase to 30 minutes. How about that?
this is the
Just make it
defanging of
completely
ethics
irrelevant.
is just continuing. Now, beyond that, there is not a massive amount of note beyond Mistweaver getting some fancy new talents, which is really rare this late into the expansion. And I really like that. They're still doing that work. Also, Priest's Leap of Faith has been updated to be marginally less trolly, which is, of course, very sad to me, speaking as a Priest player. But it will be more useful because it will not interrupt whatever the target is casting. So that's neat.
That's
and
good.
also, a bunch of new shirts and items were added to the Trial of Style vendor, but the Trial of Style only lasts for 4 days. It actually just ended. If you want the next one, you'll have to wait till the 31st of August.
Everybody knows the real Trial of Style is my transmog contest. That's the truth. Get this shit out of here. We had one yesterday. It was great.
Yeah, that's a bit weird. There needs to be more of them. Next then, this is really interesting, and it's out of left field. So, we saw this up-resed graphics option in Cataclysm Classic. When you clicked it, nothing happened, and there was a lot of speculation until just now, because Marleman, esteemed and somewhat retired
So they're basically
data
playing
miner of
retail
Legend,
now in
showed off
Classic?
a bunch of textures that were found in the most recent
what's
Cataclysm
happening?
beta build. And lo and behold, we have upscaled textures. And I know you might be
Interesting.
thinking of the
This is probably much easier to do now with AI because I've seen so many, games and videos and stuff where like they can just use AI to up-res things. So this probably didn't even take a lot of dev power. They're just like, yeah, we'll use some AI and then put a little switch on it. People can upgrade their graphics if they want to in Classic.
Grand Theft Auto remaster, or of any game remasters that have just really not worked.
A positive of
In
AI.
this case, while things aren't perfect, I am very impressed by the quality of these. And some of these before comparisons here, they aren't old Cataclysm, by the way. They are from 10.0, so Dragonflight. It basically seems like the Classic team are trying what looks like some sort of AI upscaling on some older game textures. Per Marleman, there are too many checks if they're all upscaled or if they're actually just restored from a higher resolution original that like the artist literally made before it's compressed for the game. So who knows? It's not actually available in-game for testing, so any previews of this that you see will be unlit, and obviously, the lighting really does make it when it comes to a lot of this stuff. But I've got to say, I really was impressed.
Damn,
Who knows?
Frostmourne looks
If this
good.
is a success in the Cataclysm beta, I mean, if it's just a bunch of assets, and it's easy to put those assets into our game client, could that be something we could get in Modern? I mean, for a lot of people, there are so many older sets in the game that just
Yes.
are, they're iconic. And you don't really want a remaster of them because you want to retain the original character, but maybe you just don't want
A little less blurry would be nice. Yeah, I mean, with a 2K monitor, if you put on the Judgment set right now, oh my God, it is so blurry. You gotta you squint when you look at it. So yeah, I agree with him. Something like this would be really nice to see. Not necessarily a redo or remake of the set, but just up-res it a little bit. It'd be great.
want it to look super
Make the lines cleaner.
smeary and blurry. I mean, if so, I think this could make for some really cool mods if they do it right. And I know, of course, hearing the AI buzzword, that might be, spooky to some. This is one of those things, the upscaling, where I actually do think that's a really reasonable use of that tech.
That cow looks
similar
great.
things. I mean, hey, think about DLSS and FSR and all of those things that are actually really useful, day-to-day tools of machine learning. So anyway, I think some of these comparisons could be gorgeous. And really, the clincher here is the thing that's retained the whole period is WoW's art direction, the solid lighting, the proportions of the models, and that's always been the thing. Warcraft 3, in some technical aspects, didn't look amazing for its day, but it had the Blizzard art style, it had the chunky proportions, and that's what people loved. So with a lot of that solved, the already beautiful Classic, I think, might actually just look more beautiful. And I mean, who knows, you might just be able to show off your upscaled original Judgment armor in the War Within if
Nice.
this comes to pass.
That would be
But
great.
thankfully, if it's not to your taste or it has issues, it is currently planned as a toggle option in the Cata Beta
Make it
client.
an option.
So I've got to imagine they wouldn't just wholesale force it in everyone, because maybe it's pretty nostalgic to look like some sort of TBC era.
Yeah, you're talking about DK Myth. You're talking about Tom Keck. Yeah, Tom Keck did a redo of the Judgment set, and it was absolutely glorious. I remember I reacted to that video. It was freaking awesome. And I would love to see them do that with stuff. Just this morning, we saw they were doing recolors of the Tier 2 set, and nobody knows why. Yeah, nobody knows why they're doing this or how it's going to be lootable. It's right here. Look, they did a bunch of recolors of the tier. Some of these look absolutely horrendous, I'll be honest. I don't know why the hell somebody went with the green vomit and yellow colored Judgment set. Nobody knows why they're doing this. It could be related, as someone said in chat earlier, to the time-running Pandemonium event. But they're doing a bunch of recolors. But I wish they would do it also in upres. An upres of some of these would be great, because like I said, when you got a modern-day monitor, some of these are really hard to look at. So just do this. Make it a toggle.
A clown gear character, because, I mean, hey, that's where it was at back in the day. Anyhow, that's the news this week. In coming weeks,
great
expect to see so much go down all at once. We are running out of time for the War Within's testing to actually start. That will be major. So we might actually get the whole wombo combo of 10.2.7 and 11.0 all at once. So,
maybe both, Cadence.
Yeah, no rest. No rest for the wicked. I think we're going to have a busy time over here. Anyway, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Let me know what you think Pandemonium could be. And I suppose, based on Plunderstorm, like, what do you think they could do?
I mean,
if they're just having fun and making weird game jam things in the WoW engine, what do you think they should do? Is there a game you really enjoyed? You
I just want outdoor world content.
I would love to hear, and I'm sure they would love to hear as well. Okay, hope you have a brilliant day. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, some really cool outdoor world content would be awesome. I mean, if you would have asked me this question like a month ago, I would have been like, it's just going to be a little thing. But because they went so crazy with Plunderstorm, I think sky's the limit now. It could be anything. And I'm really excited to see what they end up doing. It could be a very cool PvE event.